Hi, guys. Hello. Thank you guys for being extremely patient with me. I have been very busy. I have been trying to bring everything together. There has been so much information that has come out in the last, I don't even know, less than 24 hours. But welcome everyone to my channel. I am so glad to have you here. The moderators are here to help you and to have a good, productive conversation. I just want to make sure that we keep our chats really clean. Try not to trigger anyone in the chat and use your words sparingly in terms of graphicness. I want to keep things happy here. So if you're going to talk about Gabby being gone, let's use other words than anything graphic that could trigger anyone. Everyone is coming into this story with very different places. So we want to keep things as calm as possible. And the chat this afternoon is available for subscribers only. I have you guys on slow mode. And if you have not, which means every 60 seconds, you can put a new chat in, and subscribers can join and start chatting within 5 minutes of hitting the subscribe button. So I would just like to remind you guys to be super cognizant of that. So there's been so much that's been going on with this story, and we have lots to catch up on. Now, first and foremost, if you're new to my channel, thank you guys for following me. Thank you guys for subscribing. We cover a variety of topics on this channel. And over the years, we do cover missing persons cases. We did Lori Vallow. We've been on and off covering the Sophie Long case. We have done a variety of true crime type topics on this channel. It just depends on sort of what I'm interested in at the time. And this specific case has had me intrigued, I think, as much as all of you. So let's just be like super respectful to one each other. It's totally fine if you disagree with each other. It's totally fine if you have different opinions. Just be respectful of everyone in the chat. And I have some moderators that are going to be doing their best. So let us start right off the bat. I want to just clear up one thing. There has been so much on Twitter and on like social media about this incident that is going on in Tillman Corner, I think it is, Alabama, right outside of Moab, outside of a Walmart. There was a lot of activity there, and there was discussions that somebody was located behind a dumpster. People were beginning to speculate that it was Brian Laundrie. The last time there's been some unverified sightings of Brian in Moab, right outside of a Walmart. Somebody had said that he had been hitchhiking into Alabama and had been dropped off at Tillman Corner, which is right outside of the Moab, Alabama area. And there was some police activity outside of a Walmart, which was the same area that he had been seen allegedly. But that was nothing. That has nothing to do with Brian. They haven't really Mobile. Snix and Abia says Mobile. Sorry about that. Okay, so today, Mobile. I got it. I got y'all. Y'all get like Mobile. All right, let's go to Mobile, Alabama. All right, I'm up north, so there's been a lot of questions on whether or not he's been seen, but the individual that was related to that specific case was not Brian. They have confirmed it was someone that was homeless. All right, so here's the deal, you guys. There was a lot of movement this morning at the home of Brian Laundrie's home. The FBI was there today, and they were, whoops, what happened here? I had everything pulled up. It's been a very fast-paced story. You better believe it. Thank you, Angie. If you're following me on Instagram, I have been posting a lot of the stuff there. I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. I understand that I'm trying to know when to go live, when not to go live, what information to share. And obviously I'm sourcing through all these different media outlets and all of these different places. So earlier today, let's just pull up. I have a running, I've started a folder all about Gabby. So we can talk a little bit about this. So earlier today, there was a lot of activity outside the Laundrie's home, and the FBI did show up at their house, and they started searching their home and executing a search warrant, and they took out Brian's car, the Mustang that was parked outside of their home. And for some reason, all my photos of the search are not in this folder. So just give me a second. Pretty incredible if you think about it. His parents were actually at one point escorted out of his home, out of the home. There was people outside of the house. It's been crazy. But let's show you. I'm sorry. Let me get this added here. All right. So here we got my Gabby tab. There's so much that we should talk about. Okay, so yesterday she was located, if you remember, outside of the Spread Creek dispersed camping area. This was actually a product of a YouTuber providing information to the FBI, and the FBI was able to narrow down where Gabby was, and they were able to locate her, which I'll show you here.
Neat to see a Florida plate, on the other side of the country. It's not something you see all the time.
But we wanted to include this in the video just in any way that we can help and get this out there to be able to find Gabby Petito. So if you could share it.
We actually weren't able to find any sites in the van. It's kind of wild.
Okay, so I just want to be kind of clear here about how far away they were from, how far away she was found from the road of where the car was parked. So she was not, there's been a lot of speculation that there was someone out in this area that was effectively digging in the area, and that there was someone there. Now that's not actually, I think they came out and said that it was a tree stump or it was brush, because if you noticed, it would have been right over in this area, and she was actually found 200 yards away, 900 feet, 2 football fields away. So the digging that people thought they saw was not actual digging, because she was way out there. So they were saying that they thought they saw someone, let me see here, maybe around right over in this area. But it wasn't actually anyone digging, because she was they actually haven't said that. Okay, well, either way, she was found way further out. So nowhere near that spot. So if someone would have been digging there, it couldn't have been feasibly possible, because she was found 200 yards away. And they think they saw someone digging let me see here. But I understand people will still think they saw what they saw. And yeah. So this actual video was a part of the reason why they were able to track down Gabby. So basically, they had been given notification ahead of time. So the reports had been that the van had been seen by multiple people at this camping area. They had been tipped off, the FBI, that the van was seen there. There was general coordinates or a general idea of where the van had been parked. But when they actually were able to like get the video, they had a general idea and were actually able to coordinate based on that spot. And then they walked out and dispersed themselves further out. And then it was found, she was found 200 yards away from that spot. So she was not right next to the road. She was sort of way further up, and she was in an area, I think, where they said it was, there was a little bit of brush. So it was pretty far off of the road, not directly on the road. But they did find her there located, and they have yet to actually reveal any of the information about whether or not what the cause of her passing was. They have not yet 100% confirmed anything, but they have notified her parents. They have expressed their condolences. And I just want to show you guys that the FBI has released their press conference, which is they published on their Twitter. So they put out the press conference from yesterday. Which says,
as every parent can imagine, this is an incredibly difficult time for the family and friends. Our thoughts and prayers. Hunter Bailey, who is Chief of the National Park Service Investigative Services Branch. We also have Teton County Sheriff Matt Barr and Jackson Police Chief Michelle Weber. First and foremost, on behalf of the FBI personnel and our partners, I would like to extend sincere and heartfelt condolences to Gabby's family. Joe and Tara Petito and Jim and Nicole Schmidt. As every parent can imagine, this is an incredibly difficult time for the family and friends. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. We ask that you all respect the privacy as they mourn the loss of their dog. As you are aware, FBI personnel, in coordination with our partners at National Park Service, the Forest Service, Teton County Sheriff's Office, and Jackson Police Department, have been conducting an investigative activity in the vicinity of the Spread Creek dispersed camping area. Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito. Full forensic identification has not been completed to confirm 100% that we found Gabby, but her family has been notified of this discovery. The cause of death has not been determined at this time. We appreciate your continued support.
okay. So effectively what they say is that she's located, the physical descriptions match hers. Gabby had specific tattoos on her arms and on her, she had one on her forearm that said, "Let it be." And then she had another one that was up on her upper arm. And I'm guessing they were able to match the hair color and all of that. They are going to be doing a full forensic evaluation autopsy tomorrow, so they'll be able to determine everything. Okay. Oh, how did I get this comment up there? I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to hit that. So there's an active manhunt going. So I don't think they're not looking for him. What they have stopped doing is they're no longer looking for him at the the preserve. So they were looking at that nature preserve that was in I think Sarasota County. And they basically said this morning that they have exhausted everything. They've done everything that they can, they believe, to be able to find Brian there. So they stopped searching for him there. And when they announced that they would no longer be searching for him there, then the search warrant shows up, and they are at Brian's home this morning. And when they enter the home, they actually escorted Brian's parents out of the house for a short period of time while they did the search. And then they were brought back into the home. They were seen this afternoon removing boxes. They also took Brian's car. So the Mustang in question was the car that they were taking. So they've impounded his car. This is the car that his parents said that they picked up at the nature preserve. That preserve has had 2,400 or 24,000 square feet. It's very muddy. And I don't know if they actually know if he's there or not. I do know that when they were at the home, they were doing some aerial shots and they were checking the backyard. So here are some aerial shots. This was taken from WFLA out of Florida. Freezing? Is it freezing for you guys? I'm trying to. Okay. When we talk about, let's use the word unalive instead of using the S word. I really don't want to trigger anyone that's dealing with anything. Brian is currently not they don't know where he is. They don't know where his location here. So this was what they were doing. This was an aerial shot. There was a shed in the backyard that they were looking in. They took photographs of. They went inside of for a bit of time. They were also seen taking his parents. So they removed his parents and put them into a car that was connected, that was like an unmarked car that the FBI drove up to the property. And when they swarmed the property, they basically made it so no one could leave the property. It was pretty clear that when they were there, they were specifically, they were looking there for Brian because there was a photograph that was shared of them actually like with their guns drawn, looking in the garbage cans. They also came in and took his truck or his Mustang. So that was removed. They actually impounded that. So here is a video of them taking his Mustang. So there was some questions about the car. The Mustang was apparently at the reserve in Sarasota County. They said that they were that his parents basically said that they took him to the reserve, like that he had driven himself to the reserve or they had left a car there for the reserve. There was a lot of like his parents overall have been very cagey and have been providing really inconsistent statements to the police. Their first was that he drove there. The next was that he walked by foot. The next was that, they picked up a car at the preserve because the police had left a note that if they didn't move the car, that it was going to be if they didn't move the car, it would be impounded. So they went and picked up the car. Now, this morning, they released a statement through their lawyer and said that they returned the car on Thursday or went to get the car on Thursday. So I don't know, because Brian Etten, who is with National News Now, it's like an affiliate that does some independent journalism. He had photographs on his Twitter of Brian's car legitimately there on Wednesday. So his parents say they go pick it up on Thursday, but Brian's like, no, I have his car at the house, not there on Tuesday, back there Wednesday night. Actual footage of the car there. So that car has been now taken by police. So they picked it up via a tow truck. And they just left the property with the car. Something else that came up for me. Something else that came up in this was that there was a 911 call released. So there has been a lot of discussion about this dash cam footage that was released out of Moab, Utah. So there was conflicting information provided. So when they actually came up on Gabby and Brian, she was crying hysterically. Brian was like super calm, really chill. It was really weird, a little bit hyper, but acting like nothing really had happened. And he seemingly was blaming Gabby. He said that they had had a lovely morning and there was just a couple little things that had bothered him. He said that, you know, she was working from like 9 to 3. It sounded like he wanted to go hiking and she wanted to work on her blog. That kind of, and then she's pulled out and she says, he doesn't really think that I can even do this. I have OCD. I get upset when things are like messy. His feet were dirty. And then he claims that he doesn't even touch her. She says that he grabs her face. But the person that actually called 911, who initially there was some speculation that it was a woman. It was actually not a woman. It was a man. And the witness did not look at Gabby as the aggressor. In fact, police at the scene decided Gabby was the aggressor because of their statements. But this is what the witness told 911. And Fox News actually obtained this through, yes, it's confirmed, not Brian. Fox News obtained this through the Freedom of Information Act. So here's what this says.
County Sheriff's Office.
Hi, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute to Florida with a white van, Florida license plate, white land, gentleman,
Where's
about
that?
5, 6 years. They just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower.
What were they doing?
Cooperative, but what do you say?
What were they doing?
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Okay. So the caller says that he sees him slap her, he sees him hit her, and he sees him get in the car and take off. Their statements to police were not that he hit her or that he slapped her. It was that Gabby attacked him. The man that sees them at the scene has a completely opposite take. And it is that he is the aggressor. He's the one that slaps her. He's the one that hits her. He's the one that gets in the car, and then he takes off, and then she gets into the car. Yes, there was conflicting information from witnesses, but this was what was provided to Fox News, and this was what was released today. So it's not uncommon in situations like this that get escalated where the person that is the one that's being harmed by the other would potentially, you know, cover for their friend or cover for their the person that they love. It's not uncommon for that to happen at all. What is odd, though, is that the accounts here are so different. So she's labeled the aggressor. No charges are filed. They're split up overnight. There's that. I don't know what to make of it either way. Sadly, we'll never know all of the details. Now, the family of Brian Laundrie says that they're going to hold a press conference tomorrow. I'm not sure what they're going to have to say tomorrow. That's anything new. But his family is finally going to have a press conference tomorrow at 1 o'clock in New York, not in Florida, in New York. Now, I have some questions about whether or not Brian's parents have been not engaging or not helping. Oh, thank you, Kiko. Kristen says when I had my domestic police were called as well. It must have been bad for someone to call. And Kiko, be safe with your firefighter call. We will keep you in our thoughts. Okay, so yep, she was covering for him, trying to take the blame. Rest her soul, exactly. Just imagine if it would have been a little bit different, if things would have been happening a little bit different, if they would have looked at things a little bit different, if things wouldn't have been like, if they would have asked different questions. You know, when I watched the camera footage, and I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now, every time I keep thinking like she has so much to say, and yet they aren't really asking her questions. You know, why did it get escalated? How did it happen? You know, he says that she grabs the wheel. She insists that she didn't grab the wheel. He's speeding. He's like going 30 miles over the speed limit, and he hits a curb. It's really bizarre. Now, there's some people that his family does have a lot of nerve. It's true. I was trying to, let's see. There was a lot of discussion about whether or not he was seen in Alabama. So this was the big story earlier today. There was somebody that was found in Alabama. He was spotted out in Mobile, and then there was a call that came in to someone that was found behind a dumpster. That is not Brian. Police have already stated it was not Brian, so it was not related. And at this point, there is not a lot of information about whether or not he's actually in Alabama, only that multiple people have come out and said that they've seen him. So there was a worker in Alabama who actually posted that he saw Brian at his work, and that he reported that, and the cops came and they looked at his footage. So I'm just going to pull up my Instagram because I got a lot of information there. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can follow me there. So this was sort of the fast-paced morning we got here. All right, so they arrived around, looks like 6 hours ago, maybe 7, 8, 9. It was about 9 o'clock in the morning here, Central Time, 10 a.m. there. So they entered there. You can see here was how it looked when they drove up. So about 50 people were seen, or 15 officers were seen going in and out of the house, and they were walking in with boxes. They were walking in with tables. They walked in with photographs. At one point, they escorted his parents out of the home. So they were placed into a unmarked car that was parked sort of off to the side on the yard. And that's pretty standard when it happens, when search warrants are executed. They want to remove anyone that's in the area so that they cannot be in the middle of the active search. And they were put there for a short period of time. The FBI Tampa then says that they were executing a court-authorized search warrant at the Laundrie residence in Northport, relevant to the Gabby Petito investigation. They had the aerial shots, like I showed you earlier, where they were outside looking at the shed. There was a lot of speculation about what was in the shed and why were they looking in the shed. I have no idea. I can't go off speculation. I try to stick to like what I try to not go off like what hasn't been released officially. And then after his parents were in the house or in the car, at one point they brought them back into the house. So then they went back into the house. Now, if you're wondering if they were looking for Brian, it's clear that they were. They had their guns drawn. They had their shields up. They were looking everywhere and anywhere for him. So when it comes to the overall search, they also brought boxes into the house. And that's the Mustang over here, which was removed by the police. And then they took the Mustang later that day. So they haven't said whether or not this is a criminal investigation, just an ongoing investigation. Yes, we just played the 911 call to Libra. Thank you for sharing. Okay. The white van at Brian's house this morning is not Gabby's. Gabby was taken. Okay, so the white van that was outside of that was an FBI van, actually. And they were just collecting and putting evidence into their cars. So questions about that. Yeah, she seemed like a happy girl. Now, another thing that came out today was that Brian's sister actually released the final messages that she received from Gabby that she received while she was out on the trip. And this was actually super sad. Now, these came out through Good Morning America. If you go onto my Instagram, I will always have sources of where things come from. I shared them on Twitter, and I forgot to tag that Good Morning America put these out. These were not anything that I specifically put out myself. This was published by Good Morning America, and this was released by his sister, Cassie. So as you can see, she was like, oh gosh, I can't believe school started already. I saw your post on Instagram. So cute. Send me the picture of the boys to show Brian. LOL. I love their backpacks too. We're in the Arches right now, so we don't have the best Wi-Fi, but we did send you some mail. And then she sends the postcards, and it's just sweet messages to the nephews that, you know, they are going camping. There was a squirrel that came and ate food right out of her lap. She talks about going outside and the stars and it being really super bright and how much she misses them. And then more. And then these were the different ones that she sent. So clearly she adored Brian's nephews and clearly loved this family. And it's really sad if you think about it, because she loved the family like her own. And when she went missing, they don't have anything to say. They don't have anywhere to go. They have nothing to offer. They are not willing to help. They don't want to talk about it. And yeah, he did. So Brian's books that he read, if you go to his Instagram, you can see that he did read a lot of books about serial people. He was into the author that wrote Fight Club. He has a darker sense of, if you look at his pictures and what he drew and that kind of stuff. I think it's always tough, though, when we want to analyze things and we want to look at, you know, what was he reading and what was he interested in? He was reading a book about women being left basically being left out in the woods or out on trails, abandoning women. And it's, you know, you want to connect the dots and say, this is exactly why he was posting this. And it's tough because a lot of people will read these books. A lot of people will have that sense of, you know, maybe a darker sense of humor, and they will not commit these kinds of crimes. So we don't really know what it was that set him off, if that makes sense. But I can show you his. So this is Gabby's. Instagram. There's a picture of him reading a book in a hammock. I can't remember where it is. Is this one? No. Let me find his book or his, let's go to his page. I keep freezing, sorry. So he was an art, like he did a lot of art stuff. I'm apologizing if I'm freezing here. We have some bad weather here intermittently. So I do apologize ahead of time about that. Okay. So here's Brian's Instagram. He's got photos of them in hammocks. Dust storms. Complete cooking in the van. But to give you a sense, look at this one video about the van. This is not a big van. This 2012 Ford, whatever this brand of van is not, it's a small sized van. It's almost like a van that's on a car frame that has an extension. It looks like it might even be smaller than a lot of SUVs. So he flips it around here and you'll see just how small the van is. She's sitting there and then he's sitting on the floor. So not a huge space for the two of them. Lots of opportunities for them to be very much on top of one another during that time. He was into art. They went to Utah. They went here's them in Utah. Zion National Park. Their campground. Their tent. So even though they had the van, they camped outside. So obviously the van itself wasn't, where they were sleeping at night. Where they were at, it's beautiful. This was them building out the van. So, Brian overall, they're just, oh, hi, Brittany. She's back. Okay. Was not expecting Brittany to come back. So, yay. So there has been a lot of, it would be hard for anyone to be in those types of close quarters. I don't know if you have ever followed any of these van life people, is that a couple things happen. There has been a lot of drama on the YouTube van life world. A lot of couples that end up breaking up, they end up getting divorced. They think that this is what they want to do, and then they can't do it. They realize that it's not as, picturesque or as perfect as they might have wanted it to be. Their worlds are not as exciting as they think it is. And, if you're in cramped quarters and you're on top of each other constantly, it would make for a lot of fighting. And that's kind of what Gabby's parents have said. They've been they don't want to go into the relationship that Brian and Gabby had. They don't want to talk about it. Yes, I agree here. If your relationship is already not healthy, being in a small space together would make it worse. And then you're on, if he wants to go out and he wants to do things and she wants to work on the blog. And that's another thing that the van lifer bloggers don't tell you guys is that, it's great for them to do out and live this way, but content creation is a lot of work. And so if you're going to be regularly putting out content, you might be going out hiking to get shots, But if you're doing that for your job, then it becomes like this tedious thing. And so part of me wonders if some of these arguments were about what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it. And, you know, I was looking at her Instagram, and she had posted this photo where she looked like, at one time she said, I don't like to go outside. And then she got with Brian and she became very outdoorsy. I don't know if this was a common thing that they shared or if this was something that she enjoyed with him. So let me see here. We did the FBI statement. Let me see if there's anything new here coming up. Let's see. I try to check. I've been checking my Twitter frequently to make sure that I see if anything new comes up. Lots of people want things to be charged. But I don't. Oh, Rita, she unplugged my light. Hold on. Where's my light? You unplugged my light. I don't know where my light went. My dog is like right below me and I'm trying to figure out where she put the light. Hold on. Found it. 1 second. All right. Whew, sorry about that. It's raining here and she was like literally right underneath my foot. She didn't mean it. Nope, she didn't. Okay. So I have been trying to stay on top of things on Twitter and just to see what's going on. But so far, there hasn't been a lot of information that's been released about like what they're investigating at this point. They haven't even declared that a crime has been committed, although I believe, you know, if you have a brain, you can assume that something happened. Gabby's dad did tweet out last night that she touched the world, which I think is very true. Let me just show you Gabby's dad's Twitter. So her dad shared that she touched the world. I've been trying to check various people. So these people are local. Brian has been stationed right outside the Laundrie's house, and he's been posting videos. Oops. So it looks like he posted this about half an hour ago. They've left the house. So FBI is gone. And when they were there, it was, you know, raining. So they were seeing, they had to like take the van and post it right up to the. So they're pushing, it was like raining super hard and they were putting their evidence in the van and then they drove the van off. This van was not related at all to Gabby. Yes. And the Mustang was towed. There's the Mustang getting towed out. So they took his Mustang. and it's gone. So they have not said, and then the Northport police this afternoon said that they would not be doing any more searches for Brian. They felt like it had been, they'd exhausted all of their efforts. The FBI put out that they were there for a search warrant, and I think they've left, and they took out his parents. I think I showed you that picture at one point. All right, so the big thing here is that what is it that they're looking for, and where is Brian? Where did he go? What is he doing? Why is he on the run? Did he go to the preserve? Did they go to is he in Alabama? Are they at is he in were the sightings that happened in Alabama real? We don't know. So the parents are at his house. They didn't take his parents. So when search warrants happen, they don't necessarily it's not an arrest, a warrant for an arrest. And unless they can actually actively show that the parents obstructed justice, they would not be able to arrest anyone at this point. And even if they made false statements, they would still have to put together an investigation around that. I think the hard part when you bring in the FBI is that the FBI moves much slower than the rest of the world when it comes to their investigations. And that's because they're very methodical, and they want to make sure that they don't get things wrong, so that when they can bring an indictment, that it's rock solid. So the FBI is now, the FBI is now the primary agency that is on the investigation of Gabby. Northport is no longer the main investigation. They would only be, taking the reins for the missing persons case, but the FBI is also actively searching for Brian. So obviously Brian is a person of interest, and there's been a lot of outlets sharing his image. And I think one of the most important things that you can do if you want to help is get his image out there. Make sure that you share it. You can put it out on Twitter. You can put it out on Instagram. You can put it on Facebook. A lot of outlets have already made flyers that have the phone number for the FBI. I think that I have one that I pulled from Fox earlier today. Yep. So the Fox is actually, they put together one. I think it's wild how Fox is so on this. So this is, hold on. I was trying to pull up this one. Anyways, there is the number to call the FBI is 1-800-CALL-FBI for tips, or FBI.gov. They also have a completely separate of all of this. They have a drive that you can put tips in. So it's 1-800-CALL-FBI or tips.fbi.gov. And then they have another way that you can actually send digital evidence to them. Has anyone looked at Brian's, did anyone have any idea? Did any of you guys find his Pinterest? Did any of you guys find his Pinterest? I was looking at his Pinterest the other day, and I noticed that one of his most recent pins was about autism. And I don't know if they have ever said if he had autism or not. He had pinned a book about autism burnout. And I don't know if that's any at all related, but it was on his Pinterest, and it was like a book about specifically autism burnout. And I was like, well, that's an interesting book. This was from his pin. You can see this here. This was from he pinned this Burnout Zone zine, how to cope with autistic burnout. Now, autism burnout can be when you're like really overwhelmed and you are feeling like you need space and you can't really decompress and get together with yourself. I don't know if he had autism or not. They didn't actually say whether or not he had any form of mental health issues. And autism obviously is not a mental illness. It's a neurological disorder. But I saw that and I was like, well, that's an interesting thing. Does he have autism? Does he know someone with autism? He pinned it. It was one of the last things that he pinned. So when I went to his Pinterest, it was literally like one of the last things he pinned was about autism burnout. When I saw that, I was like, well, that's interesting. Let me see if I can find it. What's his username again? It is called something design, right? Bizarre design. Okay. So Gabby is following Brian. So if you look at his recent pins, it's right here. It's the last pin he pinned. So it was the last pin that he put on there. And I don't know when he put this there. But it says all of his pins. The last time he had done anything was a month ago. So that was his pin history. You can see this. You think he burned for the vibe? For the art look more than the topic? Maybe. I don't know. So his Pinterest name is Brian Laundrie. They also have like life goals where they have wedding stuff pinned and baby stuff pinned. I don't think that that's indicative of any indication that there's a baby on the way. You know, when you're about to get married, a lot of girls have boards about wanting to have kids one day. So at the end of the day, I think their social media is a really good indication that just like what you see on social media isn't exactly like true. So just because you see something on social media and everyone is smiling and everything is happy, that it doesn't mean it's actual reality. Social media can definitely give us a small window into someone's life, but it also doesn't give us everything that we need to know. And it certainly isn't going to have the darker stuff on there. So the big things here are that okay, so police were searching for Brian in Mobile. I can show you that. That's brand new. Gray Station in Huntsville, Alabama has confirmed that police were searching for Brian in Mobile after reports that he was possibly spotted there. He's a person of interest in her disappearance. So they were looking for Brian when they were there, but they have not found Brian. They have not seen Brian. There was a lot of discussion about him being like helicopters, looking at various parks. I have no idea like where he is. There was also some discussion on Twitter that okay. Part of the search warrant just got released. All right, here's the search warrant. This got posted just on Twitter right now. It says the subject, Gabby Petito, and her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, left New York State sometime between mid-June 2021 for a vacation to Utah, traveling on a variety of national parks along the way. While they were there on the trip, they documented some of the events on YouTube. Van life, beginning our life journey. During the trip, the subject and multiple text messages had many talks with her mother, Nicole, via cell phone communication using her subscriber number with T-Mobile. And during the conversations, there appeared to be more and more tension between her and Brian Laundrie. It says on August 12th, 2021, a report was generated by Moab City Police Department. Moab, Utah referenced a domestic disturbance between the subjects. In the report, Officer Robbins wrote that after evaluating the totality of the circumstances, I do not believe that the situation escalated to a level of domestic assault as such that the mental health crisis. Robbins stated that the subject was having a severe case of anxiety per the subject's testimony on scene. Laundrie also told the responding officers that he was concerned about the subject because her anxiety had been worsening during the extended trip. On August 27th, the subject's mother, Nicole, received an odd text from the subject. The text message said, "Can you help me, Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." The reference to Stan was regarding her grandfather, but per the mother, she never calls him Stan. The mother was concerned that something was wrong with her daughter. So can you help me? Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemail and missed calls. This was the last communication anyone had with the subject. Her cell phone was no longer operational, and she stopped posting anything on social media about her trip. Her family, this was not normal behavior, and they became worried for her. On September 11th, the subject was entered as a missing person for the Suffolk County Police Department in New York. And based on the reports from Moab City Police Report, it appears the subject is also endangered due to mental health concerns. And then on September 11th, the subject's van, a white Ford Transit with the white license plate, was located in Northport, Florida. So let's see. That was just posted. Now I can't find where it was posted. Oh, here it is. So it was this guy. He actually is a verified someone that works for a news outlet. So I'm assuming that's where that came from. Let's see if there's more. All right, here's the second piece. It says, Brian's family stated that the subject was not in the residence and they did not know her whereabouts. They refused to allow Brian to speak with law enforcement and directed the officers on scene to speak with their attorney. Based on the totality of the circumstances related to the subject's mental health, I believe there's probable cause to believe that the subject is unable to care for herself due to her increased anxiety. Due to this behavior, our concern for her welfare has reached an extingent level. Her cell phones have been turned off for approximately 15 days, and there have been no sightings of her since August 27th. On September 14th at 7 p.m., A signed search warrant was executed for the subject's vehicle, the Transit, at the Northport Police Department. Within the subject's vehicle, the crime scene technicians located a black Western Digital external hard drive with serial number, blah, blah, blah. The computer's external device is potentially the subject's property, and due to that, it may contain viable digital forensic data that could exist in the location of said missing endangered subject. So they basically want to be able to search her electronics. So this must have been not for the search warrant for... Oh, this was a search warrant that they had to get to look through her external hard drive, where there were texts and they had growing tensions. So when they got that, they said that it took them a while to actually get a copy of like what was going on with their phones. So I know that they were able to have minimal PIN locations, but overall it's hard to say, like, they don't have her physical phone. They don't have his physical phone. So they did have a search warrant, which apparently is where they got the information about some of this stuff. But it's interesting that her mom would say that there was increased tension between the two of them. There's also been these discussions that he literally left her in Salt Lake City for a while. Karen says that he looks like John Walsh says he's a psychopath. This could be true. I mean, John Walsh is for sure the missing person here. Or he is definitely like the go-to for missing persons. He has done phenomenal work. He partners with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children constantly. I don't know if he had a phone. There was some discrepancies about when they were stopped. He said he didn't have a phone. And then they went to the car and he got a phone. But then when he went to the car to get the phone, or the van to get the phone, he gave the phone to police, and then the police gave the phone to Gabby. So they might have only had one phone. Yeah, apparently he left her in Salt Lake City to move their stuff into the house, out of storage, back into his parents' house to save money. It's evident, based on how this was all looking, that this relationship was faltering, because he's leaving her in Salt Lake City. Now there looks like a search warrant is for his computer. Oh, no, that's the same one I was just reading, you guys. Okay. So they have found her now. Yeah, the police body cam video was also very contradictory, very, very much so. It's really sad because when you watch it, would you leave your life in Salt Lake to move boxes? No. So if I were on a trip with my husband, I would not leave my husband in Salt Lake City to leave to go move boxes. There's been some speculation that the people could have, he might have been moving Gabby's stuff out of the house. I don't really know, and it's hard because when you think of Gabby's age, she was 22 and I'm 42, but put yourself in the age of a 22-year-old. When you're 22 years old, are you 100% honest with your parents about things? Or do you give them sort of the highlight reel because you don't want them to worry about you too much? You don't want them to be overly stressed about you. Are you going to tell your parents everything? Or are you going to give them just the high level stuff. That was kind of my question about all of that, was whether or not, you know, she was telling them everything that was going on or just very high level stuff. So anyways, at this point,
What do you say? What were they doing?
at this point, we don't know a whole lot more about what's going on. A lot of the stuff that's coming out now is related to the search warrant. I think it's not embarrassing. I think there's a lot of shame. You know, I think if you're involved with someone that's doing these things, and I also, you know, I have to think of it in the context of the age. If you have ever been in a relationship where your partner was DV and it was not a healthy dynamic, if it was one of her first relationships, she might not even know if it's healthy or not. She might not even be able to articulate if what she's experiencing is DV. To her, she might have no frame of reference. That was my problem when I was her age, when I was involved with someone that was like that, was that I didn't have a frame of reference. So for me, I didn't know that what I was experiencing was DV until I left the situation and went into therapy. So there is a lot of shame with it. So her age is definitely a factor. Kristen says when she was young, she would also be in a situation and she would take the blame for it. I think it's just hard when you're young. You don't know what's okay and what's not okay. You know, I feel like men or people like him are good at explaining away their feelings. I know in my specific situation, it was always like it was my fault. It was me that was causing him to act this way. If I would only do things differently, then he wouldn't respond that way. And so I saw that in her when she was talking on the police dash cam or the body cam, was her saying, well, I tried to tell him that I try not to get so stressed out, but I can't help it. And then I apologize for feeling bad, because I'm guessing she knew that with her reaction, it was going to make him mad. And there's that volatility there where she's probably taking onus of like his reaction to things. And it's never, ever the responsibility of the person to control somebody else's response. You do think it's normal because you don't know anything else. Gaslighting is a horrible way where, especially if they make you believe that what you're experiencing isn't true. You know, like when you're telling them, I don't like this, and they say, what are you talking about? That didn't happen. That's you thinking something's happening that's not happening. You're the crazy one, not me. Yeah, it's sad. So for right now, that's the latest on the Gabby stuff. I'll be working this afternoon to get out some information about other stuff that they cover on this channel. Some of you guys have been asking about whether or not I'm going to be doing more of this true crime. You know, I do a lot of true crime on this channel already as it is. If you're not familiar, I've been covering extensively the Josh Duggar case, which is true crime. That's always been my draw to the Duggars, is their covering up of his crimes. So yes, I will always be covering different topics. I also cover not heavy topics for my own mental health. But this specific case is so complex, and there's so many different layers. And I think there's so many different dynamics that people all can find themselves in some part in this story. Yes, and this is the most dangerous time is when they want to leave. That's true. The full search warrant for him is put out, but this is again for the electronics. They did a search warrant on the 15th to get access to their phones and to their electronics, but the one for their house has not yet been released. So when the search warrant comes out for the home, the house, we can talk about that. They are definitely very icky. This is for sure. So I will keep you guys posted. I will also continue to post on my Instagram, and I'm going to try to get out just a regular, like, shorter video this afternoon. This case moves so fast, and there's so many moving parts that I feel like the live streams are easier for me, because I felt like I made the video yesterday or over the weekend, Friday, and it was like, as soon as I put the video out, everything that I was talking about was already old news. And as soon as yes, I do cover, I have been watching WFLA. I am on and off about my, I've been watching WFLA. I'll just say that. JB has been covering this on Facebook Live on WFLA, so he does a really good job. And then Brian Enton on the ground is doing really, really well. So all of you guys out there, make sure you say some positive things. If you pray for the family. You know, the Gabby's family is going through so much right now. And as they are working towards finding out what happened to her, and as they continue their search for Brian, just try to remain, I think, cognizant that these are real people that had real lives, and it's really easy to dehumanize the people that we talk about. And I don't like doing that. I want to remind people that all of these people are humans, and no person is perfect. So we'll keep covering this as we work towards getting justice for Gabby. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure that you subscribe. And then if you want to hit the like button on the way out, please help me with that. And thank you to everyone that did super chats and joined. We are so glad that you are members here, and I will be back later with more. Thank you guys.